people of our country know it's a hoax. They know it's a hoax. They get it. You know, they're really smart, and it's really something. So we're going to be appealing this scam. We're going to be appealing it on many different things. He wouldn't allow us to have witnesses. He wouldn't allow us to talk. He wouldn't allow us to do anything. The judge was a tyrant.
That was former President Trump vowing to appeal his conviction following his unprecedented trial in New York.
Sentencing is now scheduled for July 11th, just days before the Republican National Convention. So how long will the legal battle last, and how will it impact Trump's campaign?
Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett joins us now. Greg, you've been helping us through this process. Confusing. I still don't understand what the charges are or how it was concocted, but we'll leave that for another day. What does happen next? How in the world does this play out in an appeals context?
Well, the word speedy, Pete, is not in the vocabulary of the New York Court of Appeals. I mean, you can't even file an appeal until after the sentencing, as you point out, July 11th. Even then, I mean, the next level appellate division is really a rubber stamp for Judge Juan Merchan. Same thing with the highest court, which means that Trump's only real relief in this case can be found in the federal courts, because those judges, who are a lot smarter, actually care about the right to a fair trial. And in this case, it's littered with reversible errors by Judge Merchan, especially due process violations. Refusing to tell the defendant what this secondary conspiracy crime is, that ignores Trump's Sixth Amendment right. And then telling the jury, don't worry about unanimity on which of the three possible uncharged crimes that are a predicate to your verdict. I mean, that is so shocking, such a bedrock constitutional right. But the legal theory itself was ludicrous. As you say, nobody really knows what they decided other than the verdict. An expired misdemeanor that comes to life thanks to an unidentified felony over which Alvin Bragg has no authority to enforce. As I said in a column, this was an Alice in Wonderland case with a Mad Hatter judge.
Yeah.
Greg, let me ask you two quick questions if I could. You point out his only real relief would come in the federal system, no chance in the state system, you would assume, in New York. But even in the appellate system, Greg, I would be very skeptical he'd find relief in the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. It really wouldn't come, I would think, before the Supreme Court of the United States. Unless he gets relief at the Supreme Court, I can't see where it will come.
Yeah, I think he has a pretty good chance in the lower appellate federal courts. But you're right. Well, ultimately, this could go to the U.S. Supreme Court. I think they would look very dimly at the actions of Judge Juan Merchan. Fair trial and a venue of his peers. That didn't happen here. And as I pointed out, these due process rights are so important, and they were so egregiously violated. I can't see this case surviving judicial scrutiny in the federal courts.
You know, it's interesting. The White House is already trying to lay the groundwork for somehow you're un-American, or maybe it's even taboo to say anything about how this was unfair. They kind of want to make it like the same way it was with the last election, where, you're an insurrectionist if you suggest that things were not on the up and up. I find that very interesting. But I think the number one question that I've been getting from other people, they seem to think I know the answer. I don't. So I'm going to ask you, which is there a chance that Donald Trump will be either on house arrest or put in jail? I heard David Axelrod talking about this on Bill Maher's show as well. What do you think?
No, I don't think so. First of all, it's almost automatic that you get a stay of any sentence pending an appeal. But in this particular case, it is the lowest level felony. It was actually one crime that they decided to count stack by multiplying the number of invoices and vouchers in the case. That kind of count stacking, no honest, ethical prosecutor would ever do it. No judge who was fair or competent would have allowed it, which, excludes Juan Merchan. As to your other point, I mean, Biden and the Biden administration saying you can't criticize this decision. This coming from a president who, more than any other president, has trampled on the rights of free speech and has shredded the First Amendment. Remember, this is, Biden was the guy behind the censorship on social media. Of course, I have a right, and everybody else has a right to say this case was rigged, it was preordained, it was not fair. And I don't care how much Joe Biden complains about that. The Constitution protects us in our criticism of this case and this judge.
Yeah.
All right, Greg Jarrett, thank you so much.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.